me, Jesse, if things are going to work or if it's just going to go completely to the side, because me and technology, not always the best of friends. So everybody watching today, welcome so much to the Creative Hive Facebook Lives. We love chatting with community people. We love chatting with things that people are talking about, and we love chatting with people that the community is talking about. So today we're very excited to welcome Jesse Lipscombe, who was the man behind the digital rally. What's that, more than 100,000 views already on that?
Yeah, it's around 100. Well, I mean, really, it's around like 200, but there's two different platforms. So, yeah, 120-ish here in Canada, and then there's another 100,000 in the States.
That's incredible. And we'll chat about that in a moment and about how quickly you turn around on things. Jesse is a guy best described as a guy who acts. And I don't mean literally who's in plays and stuff, which he is in television series. He's won a Best Actors Award, but he acts on things he believes in. He acts on things when he sees there's a need, and he doesn't wait for somebody else to step up and do this. He is a person who acts on giving opinion. He acts on helping other people learn and engage and connect in community. To best describe Jesse, I would say you're a guy who acts on things you believe in. You are passionate about making change. You're passionate about talking about things that can make people feel awkward, make people feel discomfortable. And then through that, we see change, and we see power, and we see community, and we see connection. And we need so much of all of those things right now. So to have you on our Facebook Live page today, just to have a deep dive, a candid conversation into who you are and the things that you're passionate about is incredible. So thank you so much for being here.
Well, thanks for having me. I like that. That was neat. That was a cool intro. I like that. It's someone who acts, and I am an actor, but it wasn't about, that was good. I like that.
Thanks. I just kind of spitballing there. I was kind of taking a cue from you. We don't know what we're going to say, but we're going to go for it.
Like it.
Jesse, let's start with you. I mean, obviously there are so many things in the news and in the media, and Black Lives Matter and rallies and digital, but we will get to that. And that is vitally important. But I want people to know you, because you do a lot of different things in this city, in this community. So tell us a little bit about how you came to be in Edmonton, and, where all those passions have started to intersect.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I came to be in Edmonton because I was born at the Misericordia. So I just plopped out here, and this is where I am. And, even family as well. Like, I'm fourth generation Albertan. So long time Albertan. Passion side of things comes from, well, it's actually it's interesting. I wrote this little piece to myself when I was like 22. Describing who I was at the time. And I read it not too long ago, and it's interesting because it still rings true. I think a lot of the things that happened for me and were all a response to fear. Like I was, if I had some privileges in my life, genetically for sure. My grandfather is Rolly Miles, a CFL Hall of Fame. So like athletic genes, they run pretty well in my fam. A lot of notable folks that are related to me, like my uncle, Brett Miles, amazing saxophone players, played with Miles Davis, Taylor Dane. Like, he's just an unbelievable musician, not just sax player, he just plays everything. My cousin, Rolly Pemberton, aka Cadence Weapon, is also a phenomenal hip hop artist, poet laureate of Edmonton before the last one. Like a lot of art, but a lot of like excellence in our family. So that, it was always just a bar of expectation just to crush. And so for me, I looked at my life at an early age and saw that, I have some privileges that exist there. I mean, I lived in St. Albert. Our family was, middle of the road, and not super rich, but we had food at a house, and we had healthcare, and I had a city that, did their best to support and love me, went to a good school. So I looked at this and I'm like, I am scared to fail, because there's many people who have, from what I can see, have much less than me, and they're crushing. And so I was always winning just so I didn't fail. So I was running from failure, as opposed to what has changed a little bit later in my life. Like, instead of running away from fear, running towards love. So a lot of the things that happened were really just responses from me running from a feeling I didn't want to have. I just really didn't like it, and I didn't want it. And it actually robbed me of a lot of experiences at an early age. I didn't ever get to take stock and enjoy the wins. It was just like, what's next? What's next? What's next? And it's, unfortunate, but also really cool learning. So I think there was just this idea and self-imposed expectations, and not wanting to disappoint myself, my family, friends, And that really just cascaded into me doing a lot of different things. And some of them, it's not even that I was like, Jesse, I'm going to do this, and no matter what happens, I'm going to do it. I wish I could say that's what it was. Like the reason I was a high jumper. So like at best, I was ranked 6th in the world at best at one time. I was a professional track and field athlete, a high jumper. But a lot of people look at me and see my frame is not a high jumper's frame. Like it's more like a decathlete body. And when I was growing up, I probably should have done that. But here's what happened. When I was young, let's say 8, 9, I won every event I would do. I won them all, and I loved winning. But then someone beat me in the 400 meters, so I quit. Someone beat me in the 200, I quit. Someone beat me in the 100, I quit. All the way down until I had 2 events left: long jump and high jump. Someone beat me in long jump. I'm like, well, I'm a high jumper. It's the only one left. So then by default. So then I worked my ass off at high jump and did pretty well at it. But again, it wasn't like I sat down one day and said, I'm gonna be a high jumper. It wasn't even that. I wish I could say it was, but it was the idea that I didn't like losing, and it's not necessarily the best choice. I probably could have done other things, but it just kind of by default that happened. Even as an actor, I didn't set out to be an actor. There was like an audition that happened in 1994 for a movie called Children of the Dust with Sidney Poitier. My mom saw this classified ad, and it said, looking for like a African-American, skinny, loud, obnoxious kid. My mom's like, Jesse, wasn't ever thinking about acting. I was more concerned with collecting marbles. And my mom said, listen, if you do this audition, I'll get you a jumbo steely marble. Like, this is what I want, like a shot put of a marble. I'm like, that's enough. So I went to the audition for a marble, not to be an actor. And then I got the role. And after that, I was doing some shows here and there, but the craft of an actor I didn't even know what that was at that time. It's like, you just show up, they pay you lots of money, and you go home. And it wasn't until later on in life when I found out that you actually have to be good, because I came back from college and I was ready to be a superstar, and found out that nobody wanted me and I wasn't good. And I had to make that decision then to study the craft, learn it like I did with sport. But again, that showed up. It was like life brought me this thing, and I'm like, all right, let me just see what I can do with it. And so like a lot of the things that have happened in my life are a result of things showing up and me deciding if I'm going to tackle them or not. And I think that's why I think since from a very early age, I've always been like hypersensitive to what the world has to offer, and how can I put myself into something that I like somewhat that will provide me with that feeling of winning. The switch was not running from fear anymore, though. Probably late 20s, I made like a conscious shift to say, I'm not running from anything. I'm going to run towards love all the time. So whatever it is, I'm putting love into it, regardless of the outcome. So it became, in my older years, about the journey and less about the destination. But that's kind of why there's so many different things that happened in my life.
You have gone through and done so many of those different things, the Make It Awkward campaign, acting, and you continue to do all of those things. You're a keynote speaker, you moderate panels for so many different people. So that idea stood out to me, that you were scared to fail. So turning that on its head now, is that part of what pushes you, and that sensitivity to the world, to see what's happening around you and be the guy to step up and act, regardless if it's going to go the way you want?
Yeah, I think that switch is actually how I think I'm able to do that now. Because if it was a fear, if I was running from failure, some of these things wouldn't be smart moves, because there's a lot of failure available in them. But knowing that I'm running towards love, it doesn't really matter what the final outcome is, because I'm coming from a very authentic place of love and humility. And even in that, I make errors, and that's okay, because then I can just shift and pivot and try and do it better. So it has given me a way clearer focus when I'm doing things. So when I see something and I feel like I need to react right now, I can just do the thing and keep trudging forward, hyper focused, and learn as I go. But I don't have to wait. Because it's coming from a very, very true, real, authentic place. Doesn't mean it's a place that's always correct in how I do it, but that's okay too, because there is intent versus impact. And if my impact is not what I intended, I have every possibility to shift and do it in a different way that impacts the way I was hoping. So yeah, I definitely think that's prepared me to do some of the stuff I'm doing.
I want to get into, I want to talk about your upcoming series and your Netflix shows. But you've been on a stage the last week. You've been on a stage before. The first one that really comes to mind for me is your Make It Awkward campaign. Pictures of you with Mayor Don Iveson. huge gatherings of kids and learning about making it awkward. Tell for anybody that's listening what Make It Awkward is and what compelled you to boldly say that, because it's it's a powerful statement. Make it awkward.
Yeah. Oh, so first, Make It Awkward was a response to a racist incident that happened to me in Edmonton. I was shooting a commercial for downtown Edmonton, talking about how wonderful our city is. And then during that time, a car pulled up and started screaming racial slurs at me. I walked over to the car, knelt down, had a discussion with them just to ask inquisitively and curiously why they thought that was an appropriate thing to do. I wasn't angry. I didn't choose to be silent, but I chose to have a conversation. In that moment, the conversation didn't go like, oh no, it went exactly how it was supposed to go. They were defensive, pretended they didn't say it, sped off, and then said it again. By chance, we caught it on film because we were shooting, and I decided to share it on Facebook in the morning just to have a conversation. Like the tagline of Make It Awkward was keep the conversation going. So I just wanted to talk about it. But that response was somewhat nuanced, I suppose, because often we are either angry, and that anger to anger, nothing really happens. There's no real understanding. We're actually in a different place in our brain that it's in an emotional spot. So it's hard to logically discuss the thing. So nothing really comes from these high emotions. The other option is say nothing and do nothing. And that sucks because the person who inflicted said words or threw the derogatory phrases your way, they just leave and don't think two times about it again. But you're angry that you didn't say something. And then you feel crappy that the thing was said to you. And now you're carrying all of this stuff that was never yours. Someone just dropped it off for you. So it's like a very unhealthy thing to have to compartmentalize all these things that happen. And this other option was just having a conversation, whether it's me having it or whether it's you having it for me because you saw something happen. Or if I see someone saying anything to you that's untoward, sexist, whatever, misogynistic, it's my job as a part of this community and a part of this world to step in and intervene in a healthy and safe manner, so that all of that's not on you to do. The person who's the victim really shouldn't be also the one that's trying to fix it, and it's funny too, because that was what Make It Awkward was about. If you're the victim, you shouldn't be the one trying to fix it. And then we fast forward to today right now, when we look at Black, Indigenous, and people of color as the victims, and white people are asking us, how do we fix it? Like it's literally the same thing we were talking about before. It shouldn't be up to me to fix. That's exactly the case. And so that's what Make It Awkward was. What was the second half of your question?
Well, I think it put you on the path of speaking for Edmonton and bringing Edmonton together and making that awkward conversation start before what we've been doing the last few weeks, before the rally that 15,000 people came down to our legislator grounds, before the digital rally that saw 100,000 people watching that, before people like myself are saying, what can we do? How can we help? What can we change? I want to listen.
Yeah, you're right. It was interesting because that thing, even though it was a racist incident between a white man and a Black man, right from the very beginning, I did not want that to be the focus of it, because that was just a microcosm of a many different events that look very similar, whether it's homophobia, xenophobia, racism, sexism, the isms go on, right? But that exact thing, you could just insert anybody and it's the same thing. So at that moment, it was my wife, Julia, and I were talking about it. She actually came up with the term Make It Awkward. She had just thought of that like a couple, she wrote it in a comment somewhere and it just clicked. And like, that's a great name. And so, that's basically what I've been doing most of my life before this anyway, but just coining it that way is just like, it's okay to make something awkward because yes, I feel uncomfortable. But just because I feel uncomfortable doesn't mean I should just not be involved and get out of the conversation. That's kind of like, we don't want to, nobody wants to feel that way. So we tend to do things that don't make you feel that way. But sometimes it's important to feel that way because that's how you get to the other side of these things. And yeah, it became a conversation for us as a community, right? So like you and I collectively, we can stand up, be advocates, be proper allies to the Indigenous community. Like me and my homies, we can stand up, and where maybe women can't in certain ways just because of the environment we live in. It's our duty to use our privileges to help level the playing field. So yeah, I think that, I don't know what kind of impact it has. You never really do. But it, if it had any help in even creating an environment in our city where we can work together, that would be cool to know. But I don't know. But again, it was never about the destination, right? So I'm saying the journey of love, I'm just going to keep on rolling.
A few weeks ago, Black Lives Matter and rallies and protests, and they continue to go across North America and around the world, and they should be. It was not surprising when I saw your name attached to Edmonton's response to Edmonton's community bringing together, and to the guy who's going to start the conversation in our city. I wasn't surprised to see your name there and attached. You acted once again. And I will personally admit, you say if we're in discomfort, we're learning, we're getting to the other side. This is discomfort, and I want to understand, and I want to push forward, and I want to be a part of the change and the moving forward. And it did not surprise me to see your name attached to that. And what you put on in a very short amount of time was powerful.
I mean, I'll tell you what, it surprised me because I didn't know I was going to be doing that. I'll tell you, it was Sunday afternoon. I was just hanging out with a friend talking about everything that's going on. And yeah, I was like, you know what we should do? We should get a bunch of people together, maybe like 50 folks, go to like City Hall and just have a little chat. So I'll make a Facebook video and see who wants to come. And that was all it was going to be. And then it was hours, there was thousands of people. And then there was a new question I had to ask myself too. One, with 35 hours to plan this thing, and now that we're moving into like 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people committed to coming, I don't have a team. It's just me, right? So I don't have a team of people who have volunteers and people to help with security. I haven't talked to the city. I reached out when I saw the numbers. Also, it was Sunday. So, but so I made a decision Sunday night that, one thing I can do is my goal was to make sure that there's space for Black, Indigenous, and people of color to tell their stories uninterrupted, without having to justify or prove that their stories were real, and just being able to listen. That was what I wanted to have happen. And I also wanted there to be some tools where the white community could take away to figure out how they can actually be a real help. So I thought, well, there's no reason I can't do that online and with a live stream. The things that I wanted to get out of it can still exist that way. But then on top of it, we were able to be respectful for those who were not quite ready to be in big crowds, and those with compromised immune systems, or people who aren't able-bodied, and the ability to have something that's replayable and shareable again, or watch with your family, press pause, look up a term. So many things were really cool that could happen. And so we went that way, and it was really quick to have to turn it around, but that's okay. I mean, you put a deadline. You know how most of us are anyway. You got a deadline an hour before it. Let's be real. So yeah, that's okay. It worked out fine, and yes, it was a rush, but it really worked out way better than I would have anticipated, and a lot more came out of it. And I'm just excited that I was just in that spot and able to make it happen. And there's so much support from the city, like always, and community. And I mean, city, like the people who stepped up at the Starlight Room to let us use their stage and green screen and live streaming capabilities, and all the speakers within one day that decided to come in and share their stories. And what a neat group we were able to have, like real representation across the board. I'm sure you always can miss some people, but it was nice that it was really focused to see is how many voices that are often silenced were able to be on stage.
For anybody who didn't see that and who has not been able to watch that rally, we'll put that link up for you after. But Jesse, let's be real here. When people say, oh, well, that doesn't happen in Edmonton, for people that have apparently been living under, or are not aware, what's reality in Edmonton for you and for people of of Indigenous, that are Black, that are Hispanic, anything? What's the reality that maybe we don't know and that we need to start recognizing?
People don't say that racism doesn't happen in Edmonton. White people do. That's it. Okay, so because you ask any Black, Indigenous person of color, yes, it does. So it is a fact. That's what happens. So it's not one of those like, what? This is crazy happening here. No, not at all. So if there are people who actually think that there isn't racism here, it would be important for you to open your circles to people who don't look like you and have conversations with people who don't look like you. And then if you're like, well, I have a Black friend, then you should listen to him instead of speaking for him or her. Because it does happen. It happens every day, micro/macro. I have not had a day that I can remember in my entire life living in Edmonton or St. Albert that I haven't had to talk about race. Even that alone is a lot. I don't want to have to field every question all day, every day, or have some discussions about football, basketball, and hip hop, and what about Black people this, and why do you like? No, I don't want to. So yeah, it's every day, all the time, and of course, in times like this, it's heightened in many different ways. Yeah, I mean, and one other thing that's interesting about this time, I think like a lot of people, if there's things that are wrong, we don't want to always talk about them. And sometimes we just push them aside so we can just have close to a regular day as we can. In this time right now, there's so many truths that are happening. It's sad and heavy when like the discussions of like on the radio all day, like, should we capitalize Black? And we should probably treat Black people like they're humans. And like you hear this, and like, like I knew that was kind of how it was, but like just hearing it every day is actually, it actually sucks, right? Because like I figured out ways just to go about life and enjoy it without having to do that all the time. So in a time like this, which is great, everything's heightened and everyone's talking about it, it's so triggering, right? Because this is like there's certain things that will trigger people, and it's like the emotional trauma of the stuff you haven't talked about comes to the surface, and I'm finding that a lot right now. Like I just watch people listening to a radio show and then go about their business, and I'm like in the verge of tears and wanting to throw up because it's just reminds you of something else, of something else, of something else. So not only I'm going to say that we need obviously white people's help, I also really a lot of sensitivity right now, because it's not just about you getting it and learning it. Every time you're asking about it, every time it's like an abuse victim, like, you know, like some things just trigger and it's painful, and it brings you right back to moments. So like a lot of patience and grace, I think, is needed, and not just from people of color who talk about it and can speak like I'm speaking about it. There's some they're not going to say anything, and they'll say everything's fine, but understand this isn't a fine time. This is a very difficult time, and you know, reactions are going to be different.
Oh, Jesse, you're good. I want to touch on, I was listening to your Facebook messages, and one of them was about 6 minutes long, and I had to listen to it 3 or 4 times, and I was like, holy shit, yes.
Which one was it?
When you were addressing the idea that, you know, white people are jumping on board, we are going to help, and then we don't get a positive reaction.
Right. Yeah, that was last night. I did that one.
That was powerful, and it was hard to listen to, and it was another moment that if people listened to that, like actually listened and acted, then maybe these conversations could evolve beyond what we are talking about today.
Yeah, I think it's human nature for things to be about us, because that's how we can relate, and we want to relate and say like, well, for me it's this, for me it's this. So like I get why that happens. But it is, you know, man, it's because I had so many messages in my inbox. Every message that comes in or every phone call, you know, it's almost, I feel like it's assumed that that might be the only one I have, right? Like it's like, so it's like, I'm going to write an essay here and I'm going to keep talking and give 10 minutes for a phone call. And even just that thought that this thing is just a thing that you're feeling and you think you should just come to me and have this long discussion, you know, I'll give it some time of day when I can. The video is kind of to address the many people who are doing that. If it's happening to me, it's probably happening to a lot of people. The one thing that I didn't address in that video that I just brought up a second ago, but really hit home when I was talking about it, was that other side. Like you're worrying about how you're feeling and how Black people's reactions are making you feel. But not at one point are you thinking, like, if I ask him or her this, like, is that triggering? If I show this video or post just this thing, just post it willy nilly, like, what are the emotional implications right now in doing so? And maybe stop and ask first, is there a different way I can do this that isn't going to impact the people I'm really trying to help? Because it's like, I want to know. So you just decide right now, I need to know. And it's difficult. Like even talking about right now, I'm emotional because there's so much happening right now. Like it sucks. It sucks. And it's heavy that I don't want to be an activist every day. I don't want to teach every day. I would love to be able to just have a day where I don't have to be Black Jesse or activist Jesse. I could just be Jesse. We could have a regular talk about just random stuff that doesn't have to, how can I swing this around to make it about race, you know? It's a lot and I don't love it, but I also know I have a platform and a voice, and I have my own personal responsibility that I've decided I want to take on to help as much as I can. But it's not like this is my dream volunteer job. It's not. My dream is that it doesn't have to happen. And if you're not going to do it and someone else is not going to do it, I'm not going to stop. But I really would love you to join on the team. And that joining on the team is not easy, and you're not going to love it. And it's not easy for me or other people of color or Indigenous people every day, though. It's like this uncomfortable feeling is a smidgen of what it is every day. A smidgen. So yeah, you know, it's a bunch.
That might be one of the understatements of the day. Jesse, you need to know that your voice is being heard, that it is powerful, and that the digital rallies and the work that you're doing is not going unnoticed, and it will be a huge part of the change in our city and around the world, hopefully. And watching you and seeing it happen and helping in any way, shape that anybody can, you just raise up your hand, tap a shoulder.
Yeah.
Just want you to know that this community, I believe I can speak for the ones that I'm around, just tap the shoulder.
Yeah, I hear you. And I'm a tapping away. Also supportive community, get to work. Actually, don't wait. Don't be lazy. You put more work into other things that mean so much less. So it's really a bunch of bullshit sometimes, excuse the language, where like, what do I do? How do did you ever at once Google, how can a white person blank? And almost every time the answer is no. None of the work done. Just want to show up and ask someone, can you write my paper for me? Like, write your own essay and I'll come proofread it and give you some other options, but don't come with a blank piece of paper and say, hey, can you write my essay for me? Because it's due and it's important. It's been due. Do your work. Bring it and I'll help you. I'll edit it I'll work with you on it, but don't come with nothing. That's the laziest thing I've ever seen in my life. That's like, I'm an executive producer, film and TV. If some people come to me and say, hey, I want to make a movie. Like, sweet. What do you got? Like, I don't know. It's this guy meets this girl, and they're gonna like, I don't know. What do you think I should do? How are you talking to me right now? You know who I talk to? Someone who comes with a pitch deck, a first draft, maybe a trailer they've done, and they've shown the work they've done, and it might be horrible. It usually is horrible, but guess who I want to work with? The people who are like, I want this. So they did the work and understood that they're bringing it to me, and I might think it's crap, and that's okay. That's not why they did it. They didn't bring it to me because they just want me to love it. They brought it to me because they want to make a movie. So don't do this work because you want Black people to love you. Do this work because it's the right work to do, right? So do the work first. Yeah.
Oh God, we aren't even allowed to high five and hug in person right now. Jesse, really looking forward to having you at the Creative Hive. Your energy and your passion for so many things, it oozes out of everything that you do. And I think it's going to ooze and connect tomorrow night for a whole bunch of people. Let's shift to your part. You sold out. Okay. Who does this with everything going on in the world, decides that they're going to not only rejig and film something, but they're going to edit it and put it all together and have a trailer and then sell it a drive-in very quickly? Jesse does this.
I'll be here.
Locked in Love is what it's called. And there's players across the country doing this.
Yeah. You know, it's again a response to what happened. I was me and a good friend of mine, Andy Measley, who did a lot of the heavy lifting with this show. I was shooting a Netflix show. It got paused, and then someone came to my door. Wonder who that is. Netflix show got paused, and then what did I do? I was upset a little bit, but then I realized every actor in North America is not working right now. Mm-hmm. And that means they're available and they want to be working. So I thought, hey, if I write a show really fast, maybe they could do it. So I wrote a show. It's episode 1 of 8, and it's a 8-episode dark rom-com series. And I called all the actors I've made really good relationships with over the past 25 years of acting and said, you want to play? And a lot of them said yes. So we have actors from Los Angeles, New Mexico, Phoenix, and who's at my door?
Do you want me to play the trailer so you can go get your door?
I do.
Okay. I'll do that. Let me play the trailer for everybody watching. We have the trailer and you'll be able to see the whole episode. It will be put on Facebook on Thursday. And I'm going to even share my computer sound this time because I learned that that's why it didn't work the last time I was trying to do this. I have learned things, Jesse. I am tech savvy. Here we go.
Since Canada closed its borders, global lockdown has come with its own set of consequences. It's being called the ISO blues on social media.
Peter, things down here are getting worse, so we're going to move the mom and dad spot out in Arizona.
We spend our entire life in front of a screen.
Can't write anymore, Peter.
You say albums are supposed to be authentic, right?
where's your love story?
Nah, I've been failing horribly at quarantine for months.
The cool kids call it QT.
I got this hot video date with this Scandinavian freak.
Probably never even get to see this person.
Best kind of relationship.
Why don't we do a little experiment here? Why don't you start off by taking your top off? Before you know it, we're just going to be...
Okay, yeah. I connect with somebody. I want it to be a real possibility. Tell me a little bit about yourself. What's your story? I've been texting Johnny. There is something about this man.
Love has no timeline when you know.
You think it's too soon to switch to video? I mean,
Totally. But if you're free in 15 minutes, that's probably more acceptable.
let me check my schedule. It turns out I'm free.
Fun. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So that thing happened because we just jumped into a global pandemic. Nobody can.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button. There's my tech. Not good. Here we go. Now I got it figured out. Sorry, Jesse.
Fine. Yeah. And I wrote it and asked. Everybody said yes. We have no budget at all because nobody can make any money. But everyone believed in the crazy idea. I decided I was going to remote content direct. So I would direct people like this. So all the different actors. We have Rachel and Churl from Star Trek, Quentin Aaron from The Blind Side with Sandra Bullock, Naomi Sneakus from Mr. D, Matt Barhams, Rel Battle is a actor and stand-up comic, Shannon Tyler, Mark Meir, Belinda Cornish, Rachel.
Jesse Lipscombe.
I'm in it too. Yeah, I mean it's a bunch of heavy hitters that I never would have been able to get or afford ever at one time. And it just so happened that the pandemic gave room for new type of content, new type of ways to make shows like this. And yeah, I didn't want to make it look like you obviously did that on the cell phones and a camera here. I really wanted to make it look good so you don't notice that. And it's a lot of green screens and a lot of stuff like that we had to do. North Star Studios, I call them the young film boys, the future of Edmonton film. They stepped up and helped organize. I did some of the green screen work. It was a big Edmonton group of folks who helped make this thing happen with the actors all over North America. And then we sold out, about 5 days ago. So that's neat. So that will be tomorrow. Driving Force got us a new expedition that we can drive in there. Stuff. So that's really cool. They're doing a lot of community stuff right now. And I love that. And there it is. It's going to be a fun time. It'll be available afterwards, obviously. I'll tell you what I don't like though. It's a drive-in and it's a DVD because that's how you use them. So it's not, we shoot it in 4K because 4K is beautiful. Now it has to render down to this, whatever, it's tech talk. I just want it to be beautiful, and it will be beautiful and fun, but I'm excited to show the world Locked in Love and what you can do when they say you can't do anything. You can't tell me I can't make a show. You're not allowed to act or shoot anything. We're the only production making anything in North America when we did it.
What?
Nobody, zero. Only
Jesse,
one.
I have a feeling if anybody tells you not to do something, that's don't hit the button.
Right.
Well, hit the button.
Right. But yeah, that's a real thing. So we did something pretty cool, and I can't wait to watch it.
I can't wait to watch it either. So when it's out and available for everyone, can you please share that with me so I can share it with everyone on our platforms as well? And then we'll put all the links.
Probably in the Creative Hive. We'll be shooting when I'm there. I'll shoot a lot of it in there if it's cool. That would be great. I'll do a lot of this. The sets will be that place now. It's just, I'm still writing, so why not?
You don't have to ask me twice. That would be so exciting. I'll be in the side with popcorn playing with no way, really watching.
You want to be in it?
I can't act.
What do you mean you can't?
Well, I guess I could. I've never. Do you know that I was Lena Lamont in high school singing in the rain? Go back to those days. You don't want me to sing. I promise you, you don't want that.
Can you act? Will you act?
Sure.
Are you accepting?
I'm accepting. I don't say no to things. It's a problem I have.
Because if you are indeed bad, I'm not going to wreck the movie on our friendship. But if you're great, we'll make it work. But if you're not great, it'll just be a little piece, just a little guy. You'll just walk by and be like, "What's up?" And that, who knows? We just got to.
If I'm not great, then I get a really cool Instagram picture saying I tried this and I wasn't great at it. I'll try harder next time.
Nice, exactly.
I'm okay with that. Okay, we're gonna let you go because I know you are an extremely busy guy. I want to last quick thing is you have multidisciplinary would be an understatement. We have a single being released from your very first album that's being released on Monday. That single is called Running. Where can people get that?
Yeah, it'll be released on Spotify, Apple Music, all of the regular streaming platforms. So the first single of my multifaceted fusion album that basically journeys my people and my musical influences all the way from the deep south in the late 1800s to Amber Valley to Edmonton. So there are R&B, country, rock, work songs, just all fused into an album of truth and authenticity. And hopefully you dig it. Oh, the music in the trailer, that was one of my tracks on the album. So that's cool.
That was yours too? See? Oh, you're just in all of the bits and pieces. Okay, you got people ringing at your door. You got a line of people, and I know how busy you are. Thank you so very much for giving us your time. Thank you so much for being honest. Thank you so much for being you. I appreciate it. Appreciate you.
I'll see you soon. Thanks for you as well.
Bye. Have a great evening.